He was a rising general in the French army, feared by his enemies and adored by his men. She, on the other hand, was Parisian nobility, elegant, refined, and 10 years his senior. They first met in 1795, in a France still bleeding from revolution, where power shifted as quickly as hearts did. Josephine had seen the world. She was graceful and carried a past full of stories, loss, and survival. Napoleon, much younger and ablaze with ambition, was captivated almost instantly by her presence. He began writing her letters, at first once a week, then every day, then several times a day. In the end, he would write her over 5,000 of them. He once confessed, "Since I left you, I have been constantly depressed," pouring his soul into parchment, desperate to close the distance between them. In every line, he called her his sweet Josephine, the melody of her name repeating like a prayer. But while his letters were relentless, her replies were not. Sometimes she didn't answer at all. She had lovers and Napoleon knew it. But still he forgave her, clinging to love over pride. He pleaded with her in ink and fire, to wait for him, to believe in their future, to not forget him. Even as he marched through Egypt, conquered Austria, and faced down Italy, she was never far from his thoughts. Between cannon fire and desert storms, he found moments to write, frantic, tender, aching notes from a battlefield heart. In one of his letters he wrote, "My every thought is for you alone, and no glory in war can replace the warmth of your embrace." Years passed. He became Emperor of France. She stood beside him as Empress, crowned by his hand. Yet even in palaces, their love was stormy, beautiful in its grandeur and fragile at its core. Josephine could not bear him a child, and in a kingdom hungry for heirs, this weighed heavily upon them both. By 1810, faced with duty over desire, they divorced. It broke his heart, but he did what he thought France demanded. When he said goodbye, he kissed her hands, trembling, as though letting go of the past itself. But even after the papers were signed and the throne stood empty beside him, he never stopped writing to her. He told her once, "Without you, the world is a desert of triumphs that mean nothing." Josephine stayed in Malmaison, tending her garden, watching the seasons turn, always with his letters nearby. Napoleon remarried for political reasons, but the fire that once burned for Josephine never returned. Even in exile, on the rocky island of St. Helena, her name was still on his lips when no one was listening. He wrote, "My heart still belongs to you, and perhaps it always did, even when I wore another crown." Josephine passed away in 1814. They say she died with one of his letters folded in her hands. When Napoleon heard the news, he wore black for days and refused to speak to anyone. To a general who commanded empires, the loss of one woman shattered him. Even in his final hours, as his breath faded, those nearby claimed he whispered only one word: Josephine. Their letters, thousands of pages soaked in passion, survived even as their bodies turned to dust. Over 5,000 letters written by one man to one woman, across war, betrayal, and longing. It was a love born amidst the chaos of war, destined never to rest in peace. And yet, centuries later, we still read those words and feel something of them echo within us. Some historians claim it was all one-sided, a man chasing shadows. But others say, obsession is only love that time never softened. Perhaps it was devotion, a kind of love only the passage of centuries can justify. This is their story. This is Timeproof Love, Napoleon and Josephine.